We will be making two simplifications about the inputs which firm is going to use. We're going to assume that there are only two inputs. One is labor, another is capital. Okay. How are you going to measure labor? Labor is measured in the number of hours labor is working. Okay. And capital, how are you going to use, how are you going to measure capital? Capital is of course going to be used in terms of hours which these machines are going to be used. Well, you have to understand one thing, that both of these labor and capital, they are homogeneous. They're exactly similar in quantity, quality, everything. Well, this is too simplistic. Generally, whatever you can't put up as labor, you assume that to be in terms of capital. So capital is the combination of all those factors which can't be termed as labor at this juncture. Okay, we'll try to distinguish between different types of capital as we go on, but right now just two inputs, labor and capital. Second is that there is perfect competition in the input market. Okay, you go into a labor market, and this labor can supply any amount of labor from 0 to infinity at a prevailing wage. Fine. So supposedly if the wage is $5 per hour, so this labor can offer its services from 0 to infinity at this prevailing wage. It cannot affect wages at all. And neither you as a producer can affect the wages. Fine. You can't say that I'm going to use more of labor services, so I'll give you less wage. No. Both of the parties, they have to take these wage rates as given. Similarly for capital, amount of capital you can use, but you can use this capital at a prevailing rental rate. Any amount of capital you can use, but at the prevailing rental rate. These are the most important assumptions which you're going to make while going forward. What do you think your total costs are? Okay, you're using only labor and you're using capital. Fine. So supposedly if you use 5 units of labor, you use 5 units of labor, and each unit of labor will cost you $5 per hour, and you're using 10 units of capital, and each unit of capital will cost you, say, $5 per hour. How much is the cost of using labor? 5 into 5. That is the amount of labor you're using into the amount that is per unit time, amount which you have to pay to labor for per unit of time, plus and what is the cost of labor, capital, the amount of capital which you're using, in this case 10, into the amount of using capital per unit of time, which is 5 here. So it is 5 into 5, which is 25, plus 5 into 10, which is 50, which is 75. Okay. So to use 5 units of labor and 10 units of capital at the prevailing wage rate and the rental rate, it costs you $75 per hour. So generalizing it, given that wage rates are given as W per unit of W per hour per unit of labor, L is the amount of labor, total amount of labor you're going to use, R is the rental rate per unit of capital, and K is the amount of capital which you're going to use. So TC is the total cost. So WL plus RK is the total cost which you will incur. You have a production function which is Q is equal to FKL. What do you mean by economic profits? Profits would be revenue minus cost. That is what is your revenue here? So for example, given these capital and labor, you can produce 5 units of capital. Fine. Sorry, 5 units of output. Now this 5 units of each unit of output is worth $20. Fine. You have produced 5 units of output and you are selling it in the market for $20 per unit. So how much is the revenue which you have? 100, 20 into 5. And how much is the cost which you have got? $75. So it is 100 minus 75 is $25 is your profit. So you have total revenue minus total cost, which is P into Q minus WL minus RK. Done? So in place of Q, how you are getting this Q? You're getting this Q from the production function. What is this Q? Q is FKL. Q is equal to FKL. Q is the production function. It is dependent upon the capital and labor. So PFKL minus WL minus RK is your profits. Well, this equation shows that economic profits obtained by firm, they're a function of the amount of capital and labor employed. So now we have to go further in order to find that in case if I want to produce, say for example, in case if I want to produce 10 units of output, okay, then what is the minimum cost at which I can do so? Fine. First of all, I have to be assured, I have to know what values of K and L will fetch me 10 units of output. One, I have to understand that. And two, I have to know that given the market wages and the rate and the rental rate, I have to find out those combinations of K and L, which is also minimizing my total cost. This is what we are going to do in the next recording.